Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a free-to-play friendly Fire Knight guide showing you how to use rares, uncommons, and daily login rewards to progress towards those last stage 18, 19, and 20 levels of the Fire Knight. And I will have an infographic down in the video description that you can pull up, and it shows the exact team I am using in this video and all of the gear and stats and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so we have already seen Plarium do an all rare dragon tournament. So with that, being done, I'm kind of curious if they're going to do that more in the future. So I want to start diving into getting some content out there for, rare, free-to-play type friendly teams that can do the other dungeons as well. I do have an end game guide out there for the Fire Knight that shows my team that does the Fire Knight in like 80 seconds, speed running it with legendaries and all of that to kind of walk you through how I built my kind of speed meta team. This video is going to be the other side of that coin and using rares and daily login rewards, uncommons that you can use to get to the later stages of the Fire Knight. So first, let's dive into the dungeon itself and kind of talk about it for a little bit. So the Fire Knight is going to be way over here on the right side, and it's one of the two tougher dungeons in the game in terms of getting to the end game typically. When I'm streaming or looking at comment sections and stuff, I would say 90% of the questions I get revolve around getting to Spider 20 or Fire Knight 20. The Spider and the Fire Knight are a bottleneck for a large percentage of the player base in terms of completing the game and getting your Arbiter missions done and all that. So don't feel bad if you're stuck on the Fire Knight and it's hard for you to progress. It's a very common thing that almost every single Raid Shadow Legends player experiences. But in this video, I will show you how it can be done without any counterattack or legendaries or anything like that. So just the dungeon itself, you can see here that we've got Fury, Curing Immunity, Shield, Crit Damage, Frenzy, and Regeneration, plus Stun and Savage if we scroll down here a little bit. So Stun is an absolutely amazing set for like faction wars and can be good in the arena and just really generally useful in terms of CC. Savage is amazing for dealing damage. It's going to make you ignore 25% of the enemy's defense. After that, you're looking at the other ones being Immunity, Shield, and Crit Damage. That kind of rounds out the top 5 in terms of sets that you're going for in this dungeon. Immunity is amazing in the arena. It's going to give you a couple turns of immunity where you can't be frozen and debuffed and all of that as long as they're not removing that buff from you. So same with Shield, just very generally useful in any sort of a faction wars, dungeon scenario type environment. And then Crit Damage obviously is just going to help you hit harder, especially with those champions like Royal Guard and Cold Heart that really scale super hard with crit damage. A set like that can be very good on them. So the Fire Knight is a good castle to get after and kind of farm some gear, and it's also very tough to progress in. So let's dive into the actual thought process of building a team. So as I pull up stage 20 here, by the way, you'll see best time 6 seconds. I wish they would reset that after they fixed the glitch that was going on. I achieved that time. There used to be a way to kind of glitch the game into not showing the animations, so you could do like a 2-minute run in 6 seconds because it wouldn't show any animations. You would just go brrr, you just go through the dungeon. You wouldn't even really see anything. It would just kind of simulate the run and there would be no animations. So they have since fixed it so you can't do it anymore, but I wish they would reset the time so it would be a little bit more realistic. My best time without that would probably be like 72 seconds, something like that. But anyway, in terms of this team, you can see the Apothecary lead. You just might as well get that defense aura. It's the only one that's the only champion that's going to bring an aura to the table here. But defense is very good in dungeons. So Apothecary, also with the Fire Knight, him having a shield that we have to hit 10 times. Damage does not matter against the shield. We can't place debuffs or affect his turn meter or do anything while he's got that shield up. So having multi-hit champions can help you burst down that shield as fast as possible. Cold Heart is going to also bring a 4-hitter to the table in terms of her A1 to pair with Apothecary having a 3-hit A1. So between those two, we can really burst down the shield. Then we've got War Maiden to help us get through the waves. She's going to lower their defense, help us hit a lot harder. Armiger is an amazing champion for an uncommon. I recently did a video where I go over my top 10 uncommons, and Armiger was number 1. I think it's Armiger, actually. I always mess up how I say it, but it's Armiger. Armiger. You know how I am with pronunciations, but anyway, he's amazing. You definitely want to build one of him, especially if you're more towards the side of a free-to-play player. He's absolutely amazing for an uncommon. Bellower, you're always going to build your Bellower. Arguably the best rare in the game. It's kind of between him and Apothecary. They're definitely 1 and 2. Bellower, so much general utility. He's going to help me stun the waves and debuff them in terms of their attack and defense and blocking their cooldown skills. So we've got a nice blend of dealing with the waves and the multi-hit A1s to burst down the shield, and then we've got Armiger and Coldheart to deal with the turn meter of the Fire Knight, so that hopefully when we bring down his shield, he's not going to get to go again. We're going to keep resetting his turn meter with Armiger and Coldheart. And before I dive into the run itself, I've got a little clip here showing how amazing Armiger is. So we can see here when he takes his turn, he removes turn meter, then he goes again because of the Relentless set and hits for 171k because he has an ability that scales over enemy max HP. So if you put him in the Relentless set, he's going to steal turn meter, he's based on defense, and then he's going to go in and smash for right here. It's going to come. He does the 23 plus the proc. He does like 50 something. Then he does his cooldown ability based on max HP and hits for 171k. So in that one turn where he went, he did like 225k damage and stole 30% turn meter. So yeah, for an uncommon, if you're looking to progress in the Fire Knight, he is absolutely insane. I want to make sure and show that clip here. But let's dive into an actual run and show the whole team kind of in action here. So Apothecary, you're going to want insane speed, and you're also going to want high speed on your Bellower and your War Maiden. It's very imperative because they are the debuffers of the squad. Then your Coldheart and your Armiger are kind of there to be the boss specialists. You know, your Apothecary, your Coldheart, and your Armiger, that's kind of your trio that's going to really be the MVPs against the Fire Knight itself. And then the Bellower and the War Maiden are kind of there designed to help you deal with the waves and get through it successfully without people falling over and stuff. Now there is a free-to-play daily login reward epic that I want to talk about here in a little bit. That is Magic Affinity in Lordly Legionary. Now I do have a video on my channel that is dedicated, a full in-depth guide going over Lordly Legionary, so definitely check that out if you're about to get him. I believe he's the day 150 login reward, so if you're looking to progress in the Fire Knight and curious about building him, definitely watch that video and check out me kind of doing a deep dive into him. But I didn't want to use him in this team that I constructed because it's a stage 20 team and he is Magic Affinity, so he's going to be a little bit weak, but he's going to be great in stages like 16, 17, 18. You can slot him in for War Maiden, you know, on the stages that Lordly Legionary is not weak to, and especially on like a Spirit stage where War Maiden is weak, you can slot in Lordly Legionary to replace her in this setup. There is the Heartseeker. There's our enemy max HP from our Armiger. So we have the Coldheart reset. There we've got the decreased turn meter from Armiger, and hopefully we can prevent the Fire Knight from getting his shield back up if we can keep being successful with these turn meter resets. And that's why it's so imperative to have good accuracy on anybody who's going to be affecting the turn meter in your Fire Knight teams. You can see that my Armiger is about 220, 230 accuracy, something like that. There's a 205,000 crit from the Armiger. So yeah, 2 minutes dead on. And I believe in the infographic, I put 215. That was actually a conservative estimate. I think this team averages closer to 2 minutes to 2 minutes and 5 seconds, but I wanted to make sure I was being accurate and conservative on the infographic, so I put 215. Let's check out this piece here. No, that's going to be a sell. So yeah, if you want to see the actual numbers themselves, you can see here Coldheart obviously smashing with that Heartseeker ability that resets turn meter. It's an absolutely amazing ability. That's why she does so much damage. But look at the Armiger coming in at 883, actually out damaging the War Maiden with all of that AoE decreased defense. So definitely pulling his weight there with the enemy max HP scaling ability and the Relentless set, allowing him to get multiple turns. And then Bellower and Apothecary are there just as kind of utility to help me get a bunch of turns, deal with the waves, and then Apothecary also with the clutch heals. But now let me go into stage selection and dive a little bit deeper into what I was talking about in terms of swapping Lordly Legionary. If you're curious, I will show you the daily login rewards. I clicked the wrong one. There we go. Yeah, day 150, Lordly Legionary tough Fire Knight Raider. So he's kind of designed to be a Fire Knight specialist, and he's magic affinity though. So let me walk you through exactly what I was talking about. Fire Knight, and then, so okay, stage 20, him being magic affinity, he's going to be weak to the force affinity, but he's going to be amazing in stage 18, the spirit. So let's say I'm doing stage 18. What I would do is I would pull out the War Maiden and I would slot in the Lord the Legionary instead. That way, instead of the War Maiden being weak to the Spirit Affinity, I can slot in Lord the Legionary, and this team would walk through stage 18 if I went ahead and ran it. So that's how you can kind of move some parts around to make sure that you're never going to be supremely weak to the affinity of the Fire Knight, and still keep it pretty free to play friendly with an epic that you're guaranteed to get by day 150. And even though I did have that infographic down in the vid description that you can pull up and take a look at, as I said in the intro, I will go ahead just really quickly walk you through kind of the champions and the thought process behind building them for this team. I do have dedicated videos to everybody in this team except for Armiger, and I am currently working on that project. I want to get a video out there about him because he's #1 on my uncommons list, and he's an absolute must build for anybody who's not like a super whale, because you will definitely get some good utility out of him. But yeah, let's go over this team. Apothecary, not going to be a whole lot to say. You want him in a lot of speed so that he can crank out those turns in terms of breaking down the shield and helping your team get more turns by placing the speed and boosting their turn meters, and he can come in with the clutch heals as well. But I do have a full guide on him on my channel. Then we'll go over War Maiden next. I do have a full guide on her as well. You want her to have really high speed and accuracy so that she's always landing that is super important and crucial AoE, decreased defense. Get her to be a good damage dealer with a decent amount of HP for dungeon sustain, and she will do just fine. Bellower, I've got a dedicated video on him as well that I actually updated. I did a version 2.0 on Bellower because Bellower is such an amazing champion. I wanted to have as accurate as information out there on him as possible. I gave him the Fearsome Presence Mastery that pairs really well with the stun set to make him an absolute monster in terms of dealing with the waves. That's his main utility, is CCing the waves, debuffing the waves, and making sure I can get to the boss successfully. Next is the Cold Heart. The main kit of her utility is going to be the Heartseeker ability. You definitely want the cooldown on it, and you want to get her to at least 70% crit rate so that when she gets the extra 30, she's always going to be critting with that Heartseeker. So you can see that's why, even though I don't have her at 100, she's still going to perform very well, and that's the reason why. So you do want to get your Cold Heart with really good HP and accuracy to make sure that she can live through the dungeon waves. You don't have to build your Cold Heart as like some attack heavy glass cannon, because the main source of her damage is that Heartseeker, and it scales mostly off of crit and enemy max HP. So Cold Heart can be a little bit gear intensive to get enough toughness and crit damage and accuracy, but as long as you get her over 200, she will be fine in the end game and land those Heartseeker turn meter reductions pretty consistently. And then my boy Armiger, bringing up the rear here, an uncommon that you can definitely max out via shop purchases. When they sell an uncommon in the shop, you can purchase Armiger and then feed him into himself to up the skills. So you don't even have to use rare books. You can use mystery shards and the shop to use other Armigers that are easy to get because he's an uncommon, and then you can upgrade his skills and get him maxed out. He's based on defense, and he's also got an ability similar to Cold Heart. It doesn't scale nearly as well. It's not going to hit as hard as your Cold Heart if they have equal gear, but hey, you saw him hitting for 200k in my Fire Knight run. I wanted to get him in the Relentless set, and I even gave him a broken set besides that. It would be even more optimal to get him in like Relentless plus speed, something like that, Relentless plus defense, to really get his speed up over 200. I would like to get him to like 210, 215, but anything over 175 and he should be viable towards those later stages of the Fire Knight. But yeah, Relentless and then a broken set, and he performed just fine as long as he's got good accuracy and good crit rate. You do want the crit rate on him because you want him to land that turn meter reduction every single time. That's why he needs the accuracy and the crit rate, because that's kind of the main source of his utility, is making sure the Fire Knight cannot get that shield back up once it's dropped. We want to keep that turn meter down, and Armiger with the A1 that does it, and Cold Heart with the Heartseeker that does it. If we have good enough speed, good enough boosting from the Apothecary, we can cycle through our turns and we can keep that shield down permanently. So yeah, that kind of does it. I have a lot of fun doing videos like this and kind of diving in and finding out what's the most optimal route in terms of using rares and uncommons only and daily login rewards to kind of make a team work. One disclaimer I do want to make sure and mention before I let you go is remember when you're watching content providers and endgame players, they're going to have great hauls that are very well developed and they're in gold 4, so getting these stat bonuses. If you're down in bronze with a fully bronze great haul, realize you can't use the same champions and get the same results. You're not going to do a 2-minute Fire Knight 20 with no great haul and no arena bonuses. So just keep that in mind when you're watching content providers. But a video like this is designed to show you that it is possible. If you work on your account, you develop your great haul, and sorry, I keep hitting my mic there. You work on your great haul, develop your account, get up in the arena to get some stat bonuses. You can get there regardless of what champions you have. You can make it work over time. Remember, I've been playing for a year, so I've got some of this stuff developed, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And don't feel bad if you can't do stage 20 when you're trying to farm a dungeon. Once you get to like stage 16, stage 15 is the last one that drops mystery shards, and you can still get 6-star gear in stage 16 and never get mystery shards anymore. So if you can just get to there, you're doing good, especially if you're using rares and uncommons. Just getting to that point, you've done really well. So this is designed to show you that it is possible and what champions you can use to get there at some point. And hey, even if you can't do it in 2 minutes like mine did, maybe you do it in 3.5 or 4 minutes, you know? So that's what the purpose of this video is. And remember that infographic is down in the video description. If you want to pull that up, there it is. It's down there. You can click on it and take a look at all of the champions, how I had them built for this specific video. So as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.